Hello, hi, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to see how we can do a Firebase Google Auth using Jetpack Compose. It is going to be a very straightforward, very simple project where we have only just one button and a text field, and we are going to see how we can easily sign in with Google. So the very first thing that you need to do is to actually create a Firebase project and link your Android project with the Firebase project. I have already done this. As you can see here, it is called Google Auth. I have named my project as Google Auth. And after we have done this, what we need to do is to enable the authentication in the sign-in method. I have also enabled this. I have enabled the provider as Google. So once we have done these two things, there is one more thing that we need to do, and that is to add the SHA-1 hash key to our project. So to find that hash key, what you can do is there are multiple ways to actually get it. The very simple way is to actually go to this Gradle option, go to task inside the Android, double click the signing report, and it will run in the terminal and it will give you back the SHA-1 key. Once you have got that SHA-1 key, you just simply need to add it in the project settings. So once you have run this, it will give you an SHA-1 key. I will hide it for the purpose of security, but you will get it over here. And once you have got that, you will go back to this particular project, go to project settings, and over here you will add a fingerprint and paste it. Once you have done that, we will download the Google services file from here. So after downloading the Google services file, we will copy that particular file and paste it inside our project. So inside the project, inside the app folder, we will paste the Google services.json file. So the things to remember here is that once we have linked the project with the Firebase, we have to generate the SHA-1 key, which you can do from the Gradle by running this particular task, which is called signing report. Copy the SHA-1 key, paste it inside the project settings, download the Google services file and paste it inside the apps folder. Okay, that is pretty much it with regards to the Firebase configuration. Let's finally move to the actual design and implementation of this particular project. So as you can see, the design is pretty simple. There is just a text and a button, and the text is basically showing the status of the authentication. So currently, as you can see, it says that not logged in, which is basically means that the user is not logged in, and we have given a button with a text of sign in via Google. So let's see how to create this and what all logic we have to write for this to work. So the first things first, we have a composable called login, as you can see here. And there are a few things that we have defined before actually writing the components for the UI. So the first thing that we have defined here is user, which is of type Firebase user. As you can see, we have given the default value as Firebase.auth.current user, and we have put it inside a mutable state of because we want to update this value. And then we have a launcher variable, which is basically returning an activity result launcher where we are passing the intent as the input and we are expecting an activity result as an output. So for this, we have created a function called remember Firebase auth launcher. So this is a custom function which is having two callbacks. The first one is the on auth complete. The second is the on auth error. So this particular on auth complete will be triggered if everything went smoothly, everything went correctly, and we will get the result. And from that result, we are fetching the user. Otherwise, on the other hand, if it didn't work well, if there was some sort of error, we will be getting the data inside the on auth error and we are updating the value of user to null. So let's see what is inside this particular function. As you can see, it says remember Firebase auth launcher, and as I said earlier, we are having two callback functions inside it, and you can see it is returning and result launcher, that is manage activity result launcher, and we have two parameters inside it. The first thing is the intent, the second is the activity result. So basically it means that it, for a given intent, it will give back an activity result. Okay. And here we are using the modern approach. So in the older approach, we used to have on activity result, which used to get trigger when some intent is called, and then we have to check for the intent that is getting called and act accordingly. So instead of that, we are using the modern approach of using contracts. So there are some predefined contracts. You can read about all these things. I can provide you a link in the description about the contracts, what are contracts, and how it is better than the older approach. So basically we are using contract here, and as you can see, it is returning an activity result, as I said. And from this activity result, we are getting the data, and then we are getting the account from a particular data that we have received. So inside the try block, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get the account details. From the account, we are trying to fetch the ID token. So as you can see, we are getting the ID token, and we're using the ID token. We are passing it inside the get credential function to get the credential. Then finally use this credential to log in the user to the Firebase, which is happening in this particular line. So very simple approach. The intent that we are passing will basically give back some result. From that result, we are fetching the account, and then from the account we are getting the credential. From the credential, we are actually logging the user to the Firebase. And if everything works well, if there is no error in this particular block, it will trigger the callback function, that is the on auth complete, and it will pass the auth result. And in case there is some sort of exception, we are calling the on auth error, and we are passing the error inside this particular callback function. Okay. Okay. So the next thing is we have defined here is the token, which we are getting from the default web client ID, which will be automatically populated once you have copied pasted the Google services.json file, as I have discussed earlier. Then we are having the context. Okay. And finally, we are creating the UI. As you can see, it's pretty simple. We are having a column which is having the max width. And to make it everything at the center, we are giving the vertical arrangement as center and horizontal alignment as center horizontally. And then we have a condition which checks if the user is equal to null, which is basically means that the user is not logged in. So if the user is not logged in, we are displaying the text as not logged in, and on clicking the button, we are performing few operations and finally calling the launch function on the launcher that we have defined above. Okay. So we are clicking the button, and when we are creating a GSO object, as you can see, this is Google sign in options object. We are using a builder. We are passing the default sign in as the parameter. We are passing the token that we have defined above, and we're requesting for the email. And then this GSO will hold all the information needed to get the client, which we are passing inside the get client function. And finally, this Google sign in client will be used to get the sign in intent, and we will call the launch function on the launcher that we have defined. So as you can see, we are providing the intent that we want to look for this intent. We want to trigger this intent on the launcher that we have defined. And as soon as we trigger this particular function, this block will be triggered, and it will give us back the result for that particular intent that we have provided. So if, as explained earlier, if everything went well, it will call the on auth complete function and give us back the data that we want. Otherwise, it will throw the error. And in case everything went well, the user variable will be updated with the result.user, and we will be getting the details that we can find from the Firebase user class, Firebase user object. So if everything went well, if the user is updated, now this block will no longer be valid, and it will look for the else section, else block, and it will display this block of code, this block of UI, which is basically hi followed by the display name provided by the user, that is Firebase user, and then a button with the text of logout. So if I click on sign in via Google, it will perform all these operations. It will try to get the account, get the credential, use the credential to authorize the user in Firebase, and call the on auth callback, and finally update the user value. That is why we are seeing this updated UI over here. We are getting the display name from the user since the user got updated by the callback function that was called since everything went well. And now, as you can see, we have the text that we wanted. We wanted to get the display name that we are getting, and the button text also got updated with logout. Now on clicking logout, it will simply call the sign in. It will simply call the sign out function on Firebase auth and update the value of user to null, so that again we are given the older UI, so that the user can again log in. So if I click on logout, it will simply log out the user and it will update the value of user to null. That is why we are getting back the older UI. That's it. That's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, any doubts regarding this particular video, please let me know in the comment section below. And I will be posting newer topics as soon as I can. If you have any topic in your mind that you want me to cover, please let me know in the comment section below. If you watch the video till the end, please like the video and share this video to as many people as you can. And I will see you in the next one. Thank you.